Greetings and welcome to Pinball Help. Mike here. Today I am working on a dot matrix driver board. Now this came out of a Bally Whodunit, and the display just went dead, so I started rebuilding it. And I've done this multiple times before. And this time I want to go over what I've done and the decision that I've made and what I might recommend for other people as well. Now, I have rebuilt these boards in the past, oftentimes with no problems. But every once in a while, you'll run into a board that is just is going to be nightmares for you. And let's take a look. This section here is the high voltage section of this board, and it generates quite a bit of heat. So these resistors here and these transistors, voltage regulators, tend to generate quite a bit of heat, and they cause a lot of components to fail. So when so what will happen is the display will just go out, right? And it takes out a bunch of other components, these resistors. So you can get a kit like this, which has all of the kit stuff in it, and you can see here's all of the stuff, and you can go through and you can shotgun and replace most of the components and make it work. I've done this several times before, and I've gotten pretty good at doing board work without causing too many problems. But every once in a while you run into a board that is just a nightmare to work on. And what do I mean by that? There's a couple of different things that can happen with these boards, I guess over time or when they were manufactured. Sometimes the solder is just very difficult to work with. It doesn't liquefy, and it's very difficult to desolder stuff. Sometimes after a certain amount of age, humidity, time, and heat, the traces on these boards become incredibly fragile. And what happens is the board will literally fall apart if you try to work on it. You'll see I kind of discovered this initially just trying to replace these resistors here. I was blowing traces on them, and I had to rebuild and check everything. So it's not the prettiest. You can see right here, this trace right here was kind of messed up, and I had to kind of fix it. No big deal, right? So I replaced almost all of the components on this board except for the tiny transistors that are down here. There's two transistors right here, and there's two transistors over here, the little pre-driver ones. You can see there are these guys right here. On mine, Q4, Q5, and Q6, Q2, 4, 5, and 6. There are these little tiny PNP and NPN transistors that are part of this driver circuit. I didn't want to mess with them, so I kept them in, and I replaced everything else, and it still wouldn't work. So I knew, okay, I'm going to have to replace the whole thing. So and the reason why I did this is because the tighter the components were, the harder it was to remove them without blowing the traces. Just even the tiniest little bit of heat would cause the through hole to just literally come undone. And I will show you what I'm talking about, because I started to pull these tiny little transistors, and they're tight in here, so there's no easy way. And some of these components you don't need to replace, so I'm not going to remove anything that I absolutely don't have to. I started checking some of these resistors. They were all okay. But I needed to get to those two little transistors. Now, if you look tightly, you'll see how screwed up it is. I cut the transistors off from above, and I worked them out one by one very, very delicately. And I managed to get all the holes through, but you can see all the crap. Look at all that crap that's left over. Blown traces. I haven't started to clean up this top side, but in order to replace these things, I'm going to have to run new jumpers, probably on the underside of the board, to connect each of the legs of all 6 of these transistors, because the holes were blown. Luckily it's not a super complicated board. There's some traces on the top side, and there's some traces on the bottom side, and I can find them. You can see here are the 3 holes right there. And so there's 2 traces on the right, and there's 1 trace on the left, and then on the upside there's 3 traces that I'm going to have to work on. Now, same thing over here. Just a tiny little bit of heat blew the pads completely off this thing. Now, I know what some people are going to say. You don't know what you're doing. This is crappy board work. Look, when I first started, I was doing very, very crappy board work, but I've gotten much better at it over the last 10, 20 years. And sometimes you run into a board that just is super duper picky. Any amount of heat starts to make things disintegrate, and that's what basically was happened on this board, which makes sense because this board has been heat damaged all over the place. So everything was crispy. So this board is repairable, but all four of these pre-driver transistors are going to have to be replaced, and all the traces are going to be run. Now, at the time that I was working on this, I decided I'm going to go online and just see if they have any new repro DMD driver boards. And they do. Rotten Dog makes a drop-in replacement for this for $150, right? Now, that's where you got to ask yourself, how much is my time worth dealing with all of these little micro traces and jumpers when I can get a brand new, better designed board that runs cooler, that's just drops right in for $150? To be honest, that's what you should do. That's basically what I've done. I'm still going to repair this board, but now it's a much lower priority because I just went and got a new Rotten Dog board and dropped it in the game, because at some point you got to value your time, right? And this board has got a lot of damage to it from the heat. You can see on the underside. Look at the darkness there from the heat. So this is not going to be pretty rebuilding these traces for these 12 pads, right? But in some cases, you know, like to replace this with a color DMD is like $500, right? And if you don't want to blow $500 on a game that you can't get that value out of later when you resell it, may not be a good deal. But I can justify spending $150 and getting a brand new Rotten Dog board. Now, I know Rotten Dog doesn't have the best reputation. They've generally worked well for me. I know a lot of people complain about them. They're not my favorite go-to board maker, but most of the Rotten Dog boards I've had have worked pretty reliable. So let's go see, because I just threw one in another game. So here is our whodunit, and there's an original Bally driver board in it, but what I did was I pulled it out of Jackbot just to check to make sure it was the board that was wrong. It's nice when you have more than one game. So here is the Jackbot that I took the game from, and I've got the new Rotten Dog board in there. So there it is. It's a nice, easily repairable game. Just drop it right in. So let's turn it on, and we got this thing back up and working. So there's our display is now working in both machines. So in some cases, before you do any major board work, it's not a bad idea to check and see whether or not there's an inexpensive board. Sometimes there's not, and you have to do the board repair. But in this case, nowadays, if the DMD board goes out, you could spend $30, $40 for a kit to repair it, and then multiple hours, and then you just hope the board isn't so damaged that it starts to fall apart as soon as you start desoldering components. So in this case, for future reference, I'm going to recommend when these boards go out, just replace them. Replace them. It's a lot easier. You got a brand new board in there that will last a lot longer than a rebuilt original board like this. So that's going to be my advice from this point on, is as long as the replacement board is reasonably cheap. $150 to me, I think, is a good price. And now we've got both of our DMDs back up and working. And then when I'm really bored or sadistic, I will get back to this one and I will clean these traces up, and I will put the remaining little transistors I have in here and bring this board back to life. But even so, this board will not run as efficiently and as cool as the Rotten Dog replacement. So it'll just be basically a backup. So in this case, if you have a DMD that goes out, you might be better off just getting a replacement board. So that's my advice. Until next time, thanks for watching.